I've heard a lot of people saying that they would even go as far as leaving organisations if they didn't align with the company's ethics and values.
Hello, and you're very welcome to the final conversation in this special series of the Leadership Discoveries podcast, where we hand the mic over to Gen Z. And today I'm delighted to be talking to Ailbhe Namara, who's our youngest guest yet, just 19 years old. Ailbhe, you're very welcome.
Hello, Shirley. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm delighted to be here.
It was great. I was really pleased when you accepted my invitation, actually. And you know what, Ailbhe? I've actually been doing a little bit of research on your name because it may not be familiar to some of our listeners, but Ailbhe is a lovely Irish name, actually a female warrior, in fact, from around about the 6th century, Ailbhe, that apparently means strength and rock and light. How fantastic to have that associated with your
There
name.
you go. I'm
Yeah.
going to start telling people that now.
Exactly, yeah. Ailbhe, first of all, would you just tell us and tell me and the listeners just a little bit about yourself?
So I'm 19 and I'm from Dublin, Ireland. I just finished my first year of college actually, and I'm studying human resource management in the Technological University of Dublin. And I like to play football in my spare time.
Excellent. And I'm curious, Ailbhe, why did you decide to choose human resources?
I was always very into business. It was probably one of my best subjects in school, and I always had an interest for it, and I liked learning it. And I knew going into college, I have a very short attention span. So if
Okay.
I'm not interested in something, I just simply won't do it. And I found human resources and it ticked all my boxes. It was all my favorite parts of business compiled into one course. And I work in hospitality as well, so I like working with people, and human resources is a lot to do with people.
And is it everything you were expecting it to be, this program you're studying?
There was a lot more than I expected there to be, it was a pleasant surprise. It's not a bad thing. I really enjoy it.
Excellent. And, this kind of leads us nicely into a topic I do want to talk to you about. That is the area of leadership, and you work part time as well as studying. And I hear from a lot of leaders just how different it can be managing or leading people from different generations, particularly when we talk about Gen Z, which are very much digital natives and sort of may have different perspectives than some leaders who come from different generations. So could you just, when you think of your own experience and just your own views, I'm really interested in what does leadership mean to you? And do you think that's different to what older generations may think leadership is?
There's definitely going to be a difference between the generations because just of the cultural differences and how each was brought up and different beliefs and morals, I think. But personally, leadership to me, well, good leadership, I think, is to have guidance and a bit of mentorship and that kind of comfort or safety within the organization to have that place to grow and to learn in one, and to not feel judged or scared to ask those questions or progress.
And sometimes, Alva, people say to me that they often learn as much from bad leaders as we do from good leaders.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned you love sport, you play sport. As I said, you work part-time, you're in studying, and without obviously mentioning any names or indicating where these
Mhm.
people might come from, what does bad leadership look like? What do you not like to say?
Bad leadership is just there's no listening, there's no trust, which I think it can knock confidence or it can motivate you as well. There's that. But no, you definitely learn a lot from bad leadership of what not to do or how to not handle certain situations. But bad leadership, it can definitely be a confidence knock, or it makes you question your ability, which is something that you don't want from your leaders.
And sometimes people say to me, and I mean, who are from different generations, Gen X particularly, they might say that these guys, for these Gen Z people, they're full of confidence and they're not afraid to say what they want and all that sort of thing. Is that true, or is that stereotyping, do you think?
I think there's definitely an element of that, a lot more in Gen Z than I do think from other generations, because there's been a lot of change in society a lot more people, like being a bit more outspoken about subjects that may have been a bit more taboo or not really spoken about beforehand. So I do think there's definitely a difference of Gen Z being a bit more outspoken, yeah. But not all of them know.
Yeah, and tell me, you would have been through COVID. Do you think that's impacted you in any sense, or your generation as such, just in terms of how you view the world or how you work in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely character building, working and going to school through the COVID years. Sure, it took away like some experiences that maybe other generations would have had, like going out for the first time or like, those kinds of experiences didn't really have that. You were very limited. I was lucky where I lived very close to my friends, so I didn't really feel isolated, but I know that a lot of people were very, very isolated, and I think that definitely impacted their mental health and especially their academia actually as well. A lot of people fell out of their academia and after COVID they just couldn't get back into it as well. So I
Yeah.
think it definitely had its effects.
And just in terms of your view of the world, I'm just interested, Alva, because there's a lot going on in the world at the moment. There's a lot of complexity, a lot of conflict across the globe. How would you feel about the world at the moment? Do you know what I mean? Like, would you feel optimistic? Would you feel pessimistic? What's your view?
I don't even know what to think about the world at the moment. There's things that you didn't think would have happened, and so I think you can't predict anything, which is the scary part, I suppose. I think we all want to be optimistic, but right now you just don't know anything of what's going to happen.
Yeah. So that uncertainty piece is very much there, isn't it? Yeah. And when you look at the world now or in the past or, even from your own experience, when you think of, a great leader or somebody that you would really admire or sort of use as a role model at the moment, is there anybody that comes to mind particularly?
It sounds shocking, but like no famous leaders, especially female. I really wanted a female leader to come to mind, and none of them did, except for someone I personally know. She's my best friend's mother, and I think she's quite an inspirational lady. She started out working as a secretary for a corporate organization, and she then, as a single mother, left and did her human resource degree actually, and then progressed her way up to becoming the CEO of a company. All while doing it all by herself with a child she has to look after, and she is very resilient. She's definitely one of the strongest, most influential female role models that I know.
That's fantastic. It's a great tribute to her, actually, to make it through that adversity and to realize her own ambition. And in some way, I'm kind of, it's a little bit sad at here at the other side of it that we don't see very many visible female role leaders as such. That's kind of a little bit disappointing to hear. Just when you think of workplace culture, you'll finish your degree, you will want to get into the world of work. What type of culture do you want to work in within an organization? What would be important to you?
A company's ethics would definitely be the first thing I would look into because I'd want to work in a place where there's clear direction, but also inclusion, diversity, transparency, bit of flexibility, but mainly like purpose. I want to have a purpose in the place I work in. But I think I value mainly the authenticity. Mental health support is definitely a big factor. I've heard a lot of people saying that they would even go as far as leaving organizations if they didn't align with the company's ethics and values.
And these would be friends, you sort of in your demographic as such, who'd
Yeah.
feel that way about it, yeah. And for you, what would be the one non-negotiable? If you're working in an organization and if you said to yourself, if I don't see that or if I don't experience that, this isn't for me.
I feel in a lot of organizations you still get a lot of misogyny. So
Right.
I think if I got even a hint of misogyny or like I wasn't being treated equally or fairly like the rest of my peers, that would be a non-negotiable for me. I'm quite stubborn, so I'd have no problem shutting something like that down, but we're just as capable as anyone else.
And tell me this, just going back to that sort of worldview of things, when you think of sustainability in terms of climate, do you think your generation is as concerned as others may be, or other demographics may be? Or even do you see other generations ahead of you doing enough around the sustainability piece? Like, what do you think? What's your view around that whole climate piece and sustainability?
It's definitely a bit of 50-50. There's a lot of people in my generation who do a lot. Like, there's Greta Thunberg, she's out there working very hard, but there is a lot of people in my generation who don't care because I think they almost have that sense of out of sight, out of mind. They don't think that what they do is really affecting anything, so they think kind of, oh, why bother? But I think it's the same with any generation. There's lots of people who are in millennials or Gen X or boomers who all can do more, and there's people who are doing enough.
Hmm.
So I think it's just down to your personal beliefs.
And tell me this, if there was one piece of advice that you were giving leaders in organization, and there are plenty of leaders who listen to this podcast who will be looking for people in your demographic, who will have people who've already joined and who may themselves even be trying to figure out how do I lead, a different generation like Gen Z. What advice would you be giving to those people, those leaders?
I think it's definitely important to treat Gen Zs more so as collaborators than subordinates. You're working with them as a team, you're not working against them. We're all learning from each other as well. So we're learning from you just as much as you can maybe learn from us. At the end of the day, Gen Z are going to be the future of a lot of organizations. So it's important that we are able to collaborate together and have an understanding of each other and how each other works, and offer to demonstrate how to tackle certain things in the corporate world, feedback, how it will progress their career. But yeah, I think they thrive more under a coaching style than just a command and control kind of approach.
That's really important advice there, I have to say. And that whole piece around coaching and mentoring and listening and collaborating. And I suppose sometimes as we progress through organizations, we think we know more than maybe we do. So I think that's a really important point you're making, that maybe we need to listen just a little bit more to people. I'm just interested from your own experience in the work world at the moment. So when you have suggestions or, you see things that could be done better or whatever, do you find that people listen to you to make those improvements? Are you invited in to make the improvements, if you know what I mean? Encouraged.
See, I'm very fortunate in my place of work. I am definitely listened to, and also my leader is a female. So I suppose that probably helps as well because I've definitely worked in places where I've had male leaders and they haven't listened to a word I've said. Very fortunate where I work now. They take everything on board. They want to listen. They ask those questions of what can we do better and how can we, like, do you feel safe? Do you feel listened to? Like, they want to learn and understand.
Very good. And that really makes a difference, doesn't it, when somebody's actually, yeah, asking for your input. Okay, well, look, we're going to wrap up this just with a quick fire round, Ailbhe, with some questions. Very interested in your views around them. So we'll get cracking on that. Leadership in one word.
Guidance.
Instagram or TikTok?
TikTok.
Message or voice note?
Oh, voice note.
Remote, hybrid, or in office?
For me personally, in office.
Oh, I'm going to stop there for a moment. Why does that matter to you?
For me, I need to have somewhere separate from other parts of my life, somewhere where I can just strictly keep as work. And when I go in, I'm focused, I'm working there, but then when I leave, that's it. I'm not working anymore.
Fantastic, really interesting. Most inspiring Gen Z public figure right now?
Oh, at the moment, I know I mentioned her before, but I have to say Greta Thunberg because by God, she's working hard, making history.
Okay. AI, game changer or job taker?
Oh, I have to say, I know as much as I probably use I do find it a little bit terrifying. So I don't want to say job taker, but I think it is very dangerous in the wrong hands. Obviously, it's brilliant in the hands, safe hands, but no, I'll go with the first one. I won't say job taker.
Okay, all right, game changer. What do you use? What's your favorite AI tool that you would use, your go-to one?
ChatGPT.
I'm with you on that. 9 to 5 or flexible hustle?
Oh, flexible hustle,
Lovely. One soft skill that every leader must have.
listening.
Excellent. And your go-to source for work or career inspiration, besides the Leadership Discoveries podcast, of course.
Of course. LinkedIn, probably. There's a lot of powerful leaders on there.
Great content and Yeah, very good. One thing you'd never tolerate from a leader?
I suppose I've already mentioned it, but like misogyny or inequality, or I really don't like anyone being condescending. I do not like that.
Okay, interesting. And if I was to ask you, what's your favorite tune right now? What's top of your playlist?
Probably Nice to Each Other by Olivia Dean.
Lovely. Alva, thank you very much indeed for joining me today, and thanks for your very honest and thoughtful answers. Very interesting for people to hear what you've had to say. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was a pleasure.